Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. I'm here at ThreatLocker headquarters in Orlando, Florida, and I'm here with Rob Allen. Rob, you are the VP of Product,
Chief Product Officer.
Chief Product Officer.
Chief
I was
Officer.
close, but not quite close enough.
I'll give you some credit, Dan. I was the VP of Operations in EMEA. I'm now the Chief Product Officer.
There we go.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. And you guys have quite a big complex here.
Technically, you've only seen a small portion of it because we actually have 2 floors of this building now.
Really?
We used to be in 1 floor.
Okay.
And we now have the floor below us as well. And I think options maybe on 1 or 2 other floors too. So, yeah.
So just yesterday, I believe it was, I saw on Facebook, I saw a post that you guys added 40 more employees.
In 1 day.
In 1 day.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
In 1 day.
I mean, there's a lot of people that would like to have just 40 people in their entire company,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. But yeah, so when I started 3 years ago, it was about 35 people.
Wow.
It was really interesting because I was pretty much the first person in Europe.
Okay.
I was dealing obviously via Zoom. It was in the middle of the pandemic. I, for some reason, decided to move jobs right in the middle of the pandemic. Locked down and everything else, but I was dealing with the people over here. It was a small number of people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
5 or 6 salespeople were pretty much the only ones that I would have dealings with on an ongoing basis. But just the first time I came over here, which would have been around the December time of that year, to see the operation, the scale of the operation compared to what my perception was as somebody on the other end of a Zoom was just real eye opener.
I mean, that just must be amazing just to see that growth from, 30 some employees to what is the total now?
350.
350. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive. And you obviously don't get to 350 employees without, having a solid product and, having a team that can help to scale and get you to that point.
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, I suppose the ethos of the company comes from the top down. I presume you've met Danny.
Yeah.
I've, believe it or not, known Danny for probably about 15 years. So I've known him from, my background is as an MSP. So I worked as an MSP for 18 years in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
We were the second ever customer of one of Danny's previous companies. So he had an email security platform that he built pretty much from scratch himself.
Really?
He came into our MSP and basically told us about it. It was before any of the email security products that we'd ever heard about. And he said, look, I've got this thing, it does this. And we were like, wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And we're customers of his for probably 6 or 7 years there. Then obviously time passed. Danny moved over here. It's about 10 or 12 years ago. Kind of lost touch a little bit. Spoke to him every now and then.
Sure.
But then he got in touch, as I said, about 3 years ago. Said, "Look, this is what we're doing. Do you want to come join?" I was like, "That sounds really cool." Got the permission for she who must be obeyed, and she said, "Look, you want to do it? Go for it." And haven't looked back.
Nice. 18 years with an MSP. I mean, that
you wouldn't get that for murder.
Right, exactly.
Get that for murder.
I mean, that's incredible.
Same company, same people. I mean, look, I loved it there. I was completely comfortable there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been in another life, in another direction. I could have stayed there comfortably forever.
Yep.
But I suppose there comes a point when you need to challenge yourself a little bit. And this very much was that. I mean, I'd spent many years, I suppose, picking up the pieces after things like ransomware attacks. You know what I mean? Well, we're really sorry you got hit by ransomware. Let's just get you back up and running. So to be able to go from that to helping MSPs protect their customers against ransomware attacks has been really, really interesting and very enjoyable.
I mean, so being there so long, I mean, you get MSPs. I mean, you understand them, and I'm sure that really helps you in your day-to-day
Absolutely.
role.
I mean, the way I described it, I've been that soldier. So I've been the one getting a call at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning going, we can't access our files. What's going on?
Right.
The role I had was basically a bit of everything. So I did a bit of sales, I did a bit of support, I did a bit of technical installations, everything. But in a lot of cases, the customers, I was the one that got the call when something went wrong. So we've been hit. We can't access our files. What's going on? Help them to get back up and running. feeling that sense of guilt. Was there something that I could have done that would have meant that this didn't happen? You know what I mean? And that was a big part of it for me, was that I mean, some people might look at it as an opportunity. Well, great, we have to spend 2 days rebuilding an environment. You know, we're going to charge some money for that. But at the back of my mind was always, what could I have done? What could we have done differently or better that could have stopped this from happening?
Right.
So as I said, going from being that soldier, the one getting the call, the one trying to figure out what happened, to explain to the customer, well, look, you've been hit by ransomware.
Yeah.
To, as I said, helping MSPs. And look, having been an MSP, I love dealing with MSPs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of the companies I dealt with back home in Ireland were all MSPs, between Ireland, the UK, Netherlands, basically all of Europe. Dealt with quite a few over here as well. Because there was a pretty significant event that I'm sure most MSPs will be aware of back in 2021, where basically interest in what we do and the approach we take went through the roof pretty much overnight. So fundamentally or effectively became overflow for the US. So I was dealing with a lot of US MSPs as well, which again was really enlightening. Seeing the way US MSPs approach MSPing was really, really interesting, because it's a completely different conversation. We could probably talk about it for hours. But we'd always been back home. Okay, well, we have this product. Okay, so we think you should have this. So I now need to sell this to you. Multiply that by 10 different products, multiply that by 100 different customers or 200 different customers.
Right.
Whereas one of the things that a lot of MSPs here have is their bundle. So this is our, this is our stack. This is what you get. It's $100 a month. It's $150 a month, whatever that is. That's very alien to European customers. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's coming. Some of the more progressive UK and European MSPs are starting to move in that direction, but they are still very much, or a lot of the ones I dealt with anyway, are still very much stuck in that, well, okay, we've got this new thing, now we have to go out and convince everybody that they need this new thing.
Instead of just including it.
It's so much hard work. It's, again, I've done it. I know.
You're selling all over again.
You're selling all over again. You have to explain to, as I said, 200 different customers what this thing is, why you need it, why it's important, how much it costs. Yeah, I'll send you a quote. I got to go see people, visit them, explain to them, convince them, follow up with phone calls, follow up with emails, all of that hard work, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the early days of me being an MSP, trying to shift those from break fix to managed.
Yeah.
The thing that I would always say is it's a disservice for us to continue to provide you with more of that break fix, that reactionary support, when we can be proactive and do everything we possibly can to make you more efficient, more productive, more secure, more profitable.
Absolutely.
And same thing there, include it, because is it a question of Mr. Customer, do you need this or do you not need this? I mean, you definitely need it, right?
Well, the other thing is that I think it requires a confidence. It requires we're the expert, we're going to tell you what you need.
Sure.
Okay? If you don't want it, go talk to somebody else. Go find somebody who's going to sell you the worst possible solution. We're going to sell you what we believe is the best solution for your business.
Yeah.
And there's a confidence required in that. And as I said, just so happens in my experience, the US MSPs tend to be that bit more confident.
Yeah.
It's not like there's different markets that have, I suppose, different characteristics. I mean, we've spoken to MSPs in, like, say, UAE and Dubai and places like that. In a lot of cases, MSPs really struggle because there's cheaper options everywhere.
Right.
There's always somebody who's going to undercut you. There's always somebody who's going to do it for $1 less. But again, it's about having confidence in what you offer and knowing that what you offer is the best advice for your customer.
And I think that level of confidence differentiates you from the competition. When they're looking at 3, 4, 5 different vendors that they might go with, when you have one that has that level of confidence to say, this is what we offer.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it in a way of like, take it or leave it, but
there's times when that's appropriate. There really is times when that's appropriate. I mean, I suppose going back many, many years, one of the best things we ever did at the MSP I was at, we had at one stage maybe 400 customers. A lot of them were customers, no managed service, just with one particular piece of software, one product we supported for them.
Yeah.
They were worth, in the grand scheme of things, a pittance. You know what I mean? They weren't worth very much to us. They were a huge drain on our support.
Yeah.
At one stage, we basically offloaded that business, that part of the business, to somebody else. That, look, here you go, 200 clients, they're yours now. And it was probably the best thing we ever did at the MSP.
Yeah.
The other thing, I suppose I didn't really want to turn this into an MSP advice session, because that's not really my
MSP
my
therapy.
place. Yeah. But the other thing is, there's always one or two customers who will not listen to you, who
Right.
won't take your advice. Get rid of them as soon as you possibly can, because they are the very ones that are going to get hit by ransomware, and they're the very ones that are going to blame you
Right.
as an MSP for it. And again, that's just something that I learned down through the years. Like, your instinct is to hold on to every dollar, onto every customer. I don't want to let people go.
Right.
But as I said, if somebody will not listen to your advice, which you are giving to them honestly and in their best interest, and they say, no, I'm not interested, I don't want that, they are the very ones that will get hit, and they are the very ones that will blame you for
Yeah.
them getting hit.
And I mean, it's okay to fire a customer. It's okay to walk away from a potential opportunity, because
Absolutely.
not all revenue is good revenue.
No,
And
absolutely.
and I think often, especially MSPs in the early days, they want to keep growing the sales.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Ugh, I don't want to walk away from that," but it is okay,
Absolutely.
because you want to make sure that your business is going to be protected, because you don't want to add that liability.
Absolutely. And it's also, yeah, certainly you don't want to add liability, but it's about being able to give the best service that you can possibly give to the
Right.
people who, I don't want to say the people who deserve it, but the people who appreciate it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was the other way I looked at it. But as I said, didn't want to turn this into an MSP therapy session. But
Yeah, well, there's some that get it. IT get it.
Mhm.
No pun intended. Dad joke, right?
Yeah, very much so.
And there's some that don't. And if in an ideal world, as you're doing your door knocking, going out there, trying to look for new clients.
Yeah.
If there was a sticker on their door that says "Get it," that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But you have to go through that process, that sales process.
Absolutely.
And you have to learn to fail fast and walk away quickly.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. No, absolutely.
So with that being said, I want to learn a little bit more about your role. What is your day-to-day like?
Oh God. I still try very much to actively deal with customers. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons that I was chosen for the role, was because I've been many things. I've been a speaker, I've been somebody who goes to events, but a lot of the time I've spent has been as a solutions engineer.
Okay.
So you could split that up in percentages, but a fairly large proportion of my time has been spent as an SE, basically working with our product, working with our solution. I still try to do that a lot, so I still have quite a number of customers that I still deal with directly. And the reason being, it gives me an insight as to what they struggle with, what they find easy, what they find hard, what we could do better, how we could improve the product for everybody's benefit. And that's a really critical part of what I do. I mean, I do demonstrations for both customers or prospects directly, but also, for customers to their prospects, because it's one of the things we do. An MSP comes and says, look, we've got this big opportunity. Can you help us sell it to our customer? We go, absolutely, we will. It's one of the things we do, because it's in our interest that an MSP gets an extra 200 seats or 300 seats or whatever it is of ThreatLocker. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do quite a bit of that as well. But again, a lot of it just comes down to using the product, using it with a customer's mindset, using it with an MSP's mindset, trying to establish what's difficult, what's easy, what's simple, what's hard, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy about using the solution, and tailoring what we do to that.
That's great. And having the finger on the pulse of your client base, your partners, is important. And,
very much so. Very much so.
Only way you grow and become better. And so let's talk about the product itself. So, for those, I mean, ThreatLocker, the name is out there. People know what ThreatLocker is. There's some newer MSPs that might not know, or maybe some, don't have the full understanding. Give us, a couple-minute elevator pitch of what exactly is ThreatLocker.
So we approach the problem of cybersecurity from a slightly different angle to your traditional tools. Most tools block what's bad. Fundamentally, whether it be EDR, or AV, or XDR, or MDR, or anything that begins or ends with DR, they effectively permit by default and deny by exception. So they let everything run, everything happen unless they know it to be bad. We flip that approach on its head. So our approach is to deny by default and permit by exception. Okay. So block everything unless it's needed.
Gotcha.
Okay. So it starts with allow listing. Okay. Whitelisting. It's a concept as old as time, which is just allow the software that needs to run, block everything else.
Right.
Not just malware, not just ransomware, not just bad applications, good applications that you don't want to run. So, you're an MSP, you use Screen Connect.
Right.
Why would somebody need to run AnyDesk or BombGuard or TeamViewer or any one of the 15 other remote access tools that are available?
When Screen Connect's
when that's all they
whitelisted,
need. Absolutely. So it's, as I said, it's not always just about stopping bad things. It's also stopping good things that can be misused.
Sure.
We apply that principle of deny by default, permit by exception to everything we do. So we use it for a concept that we call ring fencing. So ring fencing is, okay, I've got these applications that can run in my environment.
Yep.
Now I'm going to put limits on what they can do to stop them being misused or weaponized. You know what I mean? So like, again, Screen Connect's probably a great example. Does Screen Connect need to access your files? Probably not.
Right.
Okay. If it doesn't need to access your finance share, it doesn't need to access your documents folder. So it doesn't need to access any of those locations.
Yeah.
Again, deny by default, permit by exception. So block it from accessing all of those locations except for where it needs to. Similarly with the internet. Does it need to access the entire internet? Does PowerShell need to access the entire internet?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So again, limit what things can do, and you're limiting the possibility for things to be misused. We've got other parts of the solution. I mean, it's now a suite. It's a full protection suite. It's not just a number of products. We've got storage control, where you can control which applications have access to what data.
Okay.
So protecting against data exfiltration, protecting against damage that can be done if something bad does manage to run in the environment. We've got network control, okay, which is effectively a firewall built into the same agent, but same principle: block by default, permit by exception.
Sure.
So allow required network traffic and block all that other stuff that's going on your networks. We've got configuration manager. So lets you set what I would describe as kind of group policy type settings. So things like disable SMBv1 or disable auto run, all those things that we know we should do, or MSPs know they should do. But it's fine if you do it in your organization. If you have to do it in 50 other organizations as well, it's a bunch of work. With configuration manager, you can set things like that. You can make it global, and it applies to all your customers. So it's one policy done out of the way.
That multi-tenant component.
Absolutely. It's what used to be called third wall. And we probably, the bit that I'm most interested in, and the knock we got in the door a second ago, was one of our ThreatLocker Ops guys. So the newest part of the solution we've added is Ops. So as I said, 90% of what we do is that deny by default, permit by exception. But there are certain things that happen in environments that, as an MSP or as a business, you want to know about. Okay, so it might be stuff that we block anyway. So as I said, somebody tries to run an IP scanner. Somebody tries to run a remote access tool. I mean, we're going to block it by default because blocking by default is what we do, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to know about it.
Sure.
And there's a million different examples of that. So like Windows Defender picks up malware on a machine, for example, or somebody clears an event log, or any number of different things that happen in environments that we have visibility of because we're on every endpoint.
Right.
But you want to be able to alert if it happens, and in some cases respond automatically. Like, so say you could have an ops policy that if somebody tries to run Mimikatz, lock that machine down.
Okay.
No middle ground, not I'm going to check it out. I just don't want that machine to be accessible, or anything on that machine to be accessible, because it's obviously being misused.
Sure.
Or you could, again, it might not be that dramatic. It might be somebody tries to run or as I said, any number of different examples, but all of which can add up as indicator of compromise that will suggest that effectively the environment is under attack. So one of those things in isolation might be nothing, but if somebody tries to clear an event log on a machine and a remote access tool tries to run, and Windows Defender picks up malware and
high risk,
whatever, exactly, that's very much indicative of an environment under attack. So ThreatLocker Ops kind of fills in, and I'm not going to say there's gaps in protection, but it fills in the notification and, as I said, response part of the platform.
So can you explain on the response part? So there's a live team that is?
No, so it's basically something that an MSP would manage, because again, like, we have a ton of data. So we log effectively everything that happens on the machine. I mean, billions of rows of data an hour. everything that runs, everything that can't run, everything that's ring fenced, everything that's permitted. So we've got a huge amount of information there. We've always made it accessible. We've always made it searchable, visible, so you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
But getting to the stuff that you want to know about can be challenging.
Right.
Because if you've got 3,500 or 4,000, I think it's about 5,000 on average rows of data per machine per day, how do you figure out what you need to know about? The beauty about ops is you can set up policies, as I said, to alert and also respond. When I say respond, it could be isolate the machine, it could be lock down the machine, it could be apply an application control policy, it could be apply a network control policy. You can bring the other parts of the solution in to, as I said, respond automatically to an event, or an anomalous event is probably a better way to describe it.
So you're clearing through the clutter, right?
Very much so.
Because otherwise, I mean, the amount, I mean, as you're capturing that information, I mean, we can set various tools to capture things.
Yes.
But
what do you want to know about? And the beauty about it is, from my perspective, and again, sort of going back to my MXP experience, is you decide as an MSP what you want to know about. You decide what you want the action to be take when it happens, or to take when it happens. So you effectively set the parameters. So it's not like some tools that are kind of using AI or black magic in the background and they're making decisions on your behalf, and you've no idea what those decisions are. Because one of the biggest problems for MSPs with a lot of tools is the problem of false positives.
Right.
So it's like the boy who cried wolf. So you got your tool, which is going, there's a problem over here, there's a problem over here, there's a problem over here, and you have to respond to every one of those things.
Yeah.
It's a huge issue. Management of some of these tools is a massive undertaking. And again, I've spoken to so many people who said, look, we love our tool, but false positives break our heart.
Sure.
The beauty about ops is you decide what you want to know about, you decide what you want to happen when something takes place, and you decide what you want the action to be.
So you give that granular control so MSPs can decide what is critical for them.
Very much so.
Not everybody's going to want to have the same. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So it's really, really cool. It's currently in beta, but it should be out in the next few days.
Excellent. So as we wrap up, I want to learn a little bit more about a big event that you guys have coming up next month here in Orlando.
So Zero Trust World. It's an event we do every year. It's really, really cool. I've been to a couple of them so far. A lot of partners come, a lot of customers come, a lot of training, hacking, things like Metasploit, basically teaching people the things that they need to know about to be able to defend against those tools.
Yeah.
So we do sessions on rubber duckies, we do sessions on bash bunnies, we do sessions, as I said, on things like Metasploit. But basically it's a really good educational event for techs. But there's also a lot of keynotes, speeches from, I think Mark Rober is the main guy who's doing. We had Captain Sully Sullivan last year. Who was awesome. He was really
great.
But so there's a little bit for everyone there. If you're a business owner, there's stuff that's going to be of interest to you. If you're a tech and you're just interested in the hacking and the fun stuff, there's going to be stuff for you as well. So it's really, really cool. We've got, sessions, we've got labs, we've got everything you could possibly need.
So it sounds like quite a variety overall, not only, specifically on the security side, but overall.
Absolutely.
For all roles.
Plus, it's in February. In Florida.
Yeah.
Where else would you want to be?
Exactly.
In February. I can tell you with absolute certainty, it was a pleasure for me the last couple of years to go from rainy, cold, wet Ireland to Florida in the middle of February.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you come to Florida in February?
Yeah, well, I'm supposed to be flying back to Michigan tomorrow, and we're supposed to.
Good luck with that, my friend.
I know we've got like 7 inches of snow that either is falling now or about to fall, and I'm not looking forward to going back. So
I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah,
I wish you the best.
So maybe I just stay here through the end of February through Zero Trust World. And
listen, that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So I came. So I think I was in Florida once 6-7 years ago, and I've obviously spent 40-something years in cold, rainy, wet Ireland. And when Danny asked me about coming over here and taking this role and moving to the US, moving to Florida specifically, it took me about 5 seconds of consideration. I was like, you want me to go somewhere where it's basically hot and pleasant and sunny? Now, today is probably a bad example. It's a bit cloudy outside. all year round, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I
But,
can see how that would be a
it's
quick,
absolutely got its
very
appeal.
quick decision.
Yeah, and look, it's phenomenal. I absolutely love it here. The family love it here. They arrived about a month ago. Kids, do you want to go and live just down the road from Disney and Universal? Yes, please.
It probably took them 1 second.
Oh, yeah, definitely 1 second.
Yeah.
So no, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
That's great. So that's the was it 26th through 28th?
26th through 28th of February.
Okay. And so to learn more about that, you can go directly to your website.
zerotrustworld.threatlocker.com.
Okay.
Or just go to threatlocker.com. You should find some sort of links somewhere. I haven't looked in a
Okay.
while.
Awesome. So any parting words for our audience as we wrap things up here?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for the time. I really appreciate it. Great to have you here. We're going to give you a bit of a tour now in a few minutes as well. So
That'd be
been
great.
a pleasure hosting you. And thank you very much for the time.
Awesome.
I love MSP groups. There's MSP groups in the UK. Some guys are really good friends. I have made some very good friends as part of them. So I really, really appreciate what you do, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, we thank you so much for your time here live at ThreatLocker in Orlando, Florida. And everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.